Anybody who doesn't start to cry when they hear their 2-year-old son sing Frozen, you got something wrong with them. Carson, I'm glad you stuck around for this. You said you would. Dave mentioned it in his remarks. December of 2001, I sat in a tiny little conference room and interviewed 3 agents. Mike Sullivan from Octagon, Tom Condon, who was with IMG, and David Dunn, who was with the newly formed Athletes First. I'm assuming Mike Sullivan and Tom Condon are not here. Can we confirm that? Okay. Mike Sullivan sat down. He was the first to present, and as he pushed up his glasses and told me about the analytics of the football draft and how everything worked and how the numbers crunched, I thought of going and having another whiskey with one of our Catholic priests. Tom Condon came in and in his red power tie and got ready for his presentation about how he's going to tell me we were going to Bradenton prison, Bradenton workout facility, and IMG was going to make me all sorts of money and I was going to get drafted higher, and that made everything better. And then Dave came in his light blue tapered denim, which, let's be honest, he was a bit fashion forward even then. You just didn't know it. His untucked short sleeve button down and his loafers. And he sat down across from my mom and dad and I, and he put his feet up on a chair. You're laughing because you know I'm serious. And before he said anything else, he said, "You've been blessed. You are very lucky to be in the position that you are right now. And now you're going to have an opportunity to give back to those who helped you get here." And that resonated because it was the truth. I was raised by 2 wonderful parents, John and Valerie. My dad had never met a child who he couldn't direct towards a quality education. He was a fantastic father, a great role model, a great coach. My mom ran a architectural business out of, I wouldn't even call it an office after I destroyed your drafting board, out of the upper landing, the top of the stairs at our home. But she still found time to start our grade school auction, to volunteer at every opportunity she could find, and never missed an opportunity to adopt a family. Whether it was Christmas time and helping with presents, whether it was back to school and helping with school supplies, whether it was the clothing drives of St. Vincent de Paul that Dad would take us to, Mom and Dad provided an example that Dave kind of hit right on the head. As a kid, you never wanted to go to those things. You never wanted to go deliver Meals on Wheels. You never wanted to spend the Saturday afternoon at the St. Vincent de Paul truck, but you did it. And the funny thing was, at the end of it, you always end up feeling great. You always ended up feeling great because you knew you did a good thing, number one, and number two, because you saw the look on the faces of the people that you helped. And it was genuine, and it was real. And it was a way that you could connect with somebody and give them something that was beyond their reach. I think an unfortunate thing happens to a lot of us as we experience athletic success is people start to want a piece of you. People start asking for your time, and people start being happy to see you because of what you've done and not who you are. And I fell into that category, like any normal 22, 23, 24-year-old kid would. I began showing up to these volunteer opportunities and thinking that people wanted to see me because I played for the Detroit Lions or because I played for the Oregon Ducks or because I'd been drafted high in the NFL draft. And I completely neglected the fact that I was helping. My self-worth was tied to what I did. The fact that I was a football player defined who I was. And when that started going downhill, and it went downhill fast in Detroit. Stop laughing, Carson. My self-worth went down with it. I had a hard time separating the difference between doing something genuine and doing something to help somebody else out and thinking that people wanted to see me just because of what I did on Sundays on the field. I think all of us who play in the NFL will sometimes experience a feeling of being uncomfortable, a feeling of, I won't call it shame, but I got to the point in Detroit where I'd wear a hat to go to the grocery store and I'd pull it down as far as I could because I simply didn't want to have those type of interactions. I didn't want to see people. I didn't think people would want to see me. And I very distinctly remember, it's funny that I actually remember it because after about a drink or maybe 6, it was after a really bad game, my last year in Detroit, and I didn't know what was going on, and I had completely forgotten that the next day I was supposed to be taking a 5th grader to the NFL Ticket Player to School Day. And I got a call that night, and are you ready for your 6 o'clock pickup the next morning? And, oh yeah, that's right. We showed up in a limo at Tommy's house, and we picked him up. And I expected him, after we got our brains beat in 2 days earlier, to be ashamed to be in a car with me. But, in fact, the complete opposite happened. The kid was thrilled because I played for his favorite team. And it didn't matter that we had gotten beat by 4 touchdowns 2 days before. It mattered that I was there with him. And I was taking the time to take him to school. And I was taking the time to talk with his classmates. And I was sharing of myself at a time when I probably didn't have to. We walked into their elementary school gym, and the whole class was there, and I was received in a way that was similar to how Tommy received me, and a light kind of came on. What happens on Sunday doesn't matter. I mean, let's be honest. The NFL is not real. The NFL is this fictitious community that entertains people on Sundays, but from Monday to Saturday, people go back to their lives. People go back to the troubles that they try and escape on Sunday by watching us on TV or watching us on the field, but those problems still exist. And I think it was at that moment when I was in that gym that I realized that I had an opportunity to turn my experience in the NFL into something great. The NFL is not the end-all, be-all of what you are going to do. And I don't know how many rookies we have right near, and in the room right now, and I don't know how many times you're going to hear this, but the NFL is not you. The NFL opens the door. The NFL provides you a key to do something tremendous. Because as much as you may think they do, people don't care if you win. People don't care if you lose. They want to know that you're real, and they want to know that you can help, and they want to know that you care about them as much as they care about you. It doesn't take an NFL star to change somebody else's life. When I retired in 2009 from the NFL, I came back home, and the two people who had set the example for me from the start, my mom and dad, were running my foundation. They were running the Harrington Family Foundation. And they gave grants to children's charities that weren't life-changing. They were small. I wouldn't say insignificant, but they were small because they were significant. To the people who received our time, to the people who received your attention, to the people who received the $2,500 check to buy Bunsen burners and beakers for the St. Agatha Science Lab. That was important. That was significant. And I was provided another example when I married my beautiful wife, Emily, and watched her volunteer her time at the Blanchet House of Hospitality. You guys inspire me. You guys remind me on a daily basis that it's not my career. It's not what I did. It's not what I accomplished that makes people happy. You're showing me that it's the time, it's your effort, it's your willingness to put your nose in there and get your hands dirty. NFL players lead on Sundays. They lead in the media. But the reality is, it takes 900 people sitting here in a banquet hall to stand up, to turn around at the end of the night and say, I'm going to go home and I'm going to do something. Even if it's not going to end up on the front page of the sports page, and even if it's not going to end up on the nightly news, I can do something that's important. I can do something that matters. So, to Dave, to Murph, Carmen, Humes, Aaron Renaga, Courtney, Jessica Barnes, who organized this fantastic night, Natalie, Ryan Williams. I know I'm forgetting somebody from that original group. Justin. Thanks for reinforcing in me what was truly important. Thanks for showing me that the NFL wasn't all about the money. The money helps, but that's not why we're there. Mom, Dad, Emily, thank you for providing on a daily basis the example of how I want to live my life. I am a lucky, lucky person. We are all lucky people. Go share it with someone.